What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning into yet another episode of the Sports Muse Podcast. I am your host, Kevin Brumley. I'm in the studio tonight. I didn't do my normal setup as far as video goes. I figured I would just record on the iPad because I kind of wanted to talk about some playoff pictures as far as AFC and NFC. So this video, I'm really going to focus on the AFC playoff picture. I don't really want to talk about necessarily who's winning the divisions as much as the wild card race. Of course, some of these teams could potentially win their division, especially when we talk about the Browns have an outside chance. The Dolphins and Colts could all still win their division pretty easily. But the first team we're going to talk about is the first best wildcard team, which is the Cleveland Browns. They are 9-3 with a huge win today over the Tennessee Titans. I think it was a big statement win. A lot of people have been looking down upon the Browns. Even though I just kind of feel like it's their style of play. They're not really, today was the exception. They put up big stats today. They jumped out to a lead big time. They didn't look back. The final score doesn't even, show how bad they beat the Titans today because, it was a lot of garbage time touchdowns for the Titans. When we look at Cleveland, they kind of remind me of a team from like the late 90s, early 2000s. They play defense, and they're going to run the ball most of the time, hit you with the play action. Best case scenario for them is they're kind of like last year's Titans. Baker's going to have to beat Ryan Tannehill. This mixture of Chubb and Kareem Hunt's going to have to kind of be Derrick Henry, which they have a little bit of a different element because Kareem Hunt's one of the best receiving backs in the league, and Derrick Henry's not known for receiving. So they even have a little bit of a different element than that Titans team. But right now, we look at Cleveland. Out of 32 teams, one being the hardest, 32 being the easiest, the Cleveland Browns have the 23rd ranked strength of schedule for the remainder of the season. They have a 92% chance of making the playoffs. I don't think this is a matter of me talking about Cleveland that they're going to miss the playoffs as much as they want to keep that top wild card spot or even contend. They have played Pittsburgh one more time to even take that division. I don't foresee that happening, but that's an outside chance. The remaining teams that they play is Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Jets, and Giants. I easily see them going 2-2, 3-1, something like that. So Cleveland's looking good. First time they've been in the playoffs in a minute. The sixth seed right now is the Miami Dolphins, who are 8-4. But the bad news for the Miami Dolphins is they have the hardest strength of schedule of any team. Number one, they have a 44% chance of making the playoffs just because of that factor alone. They play KC, the Bills, Raiders, and Pats. The easiest team they have is the Pats, and the Pats have been looking better and better lately. We know Belichick's probably the greatest coach of all time. So that's not going to be an easy one, especially if the Patriots are in contention for that final wild card spot. So the Dolphins definitely have a tall task in front of them. Hopefully Tua starts picking it up a little bit. Right now he's kind of been a little bit more of a game manager. They haven't put a lot on him. But I think once you start playing this upper echelon of teams, it's going to become more and more difficult. I'm a little worried about the Dolphins. Right now the last wild card team and the newest wild card spot, which is the 7th seed, is the Colts, who are also 8-4. Their strength of schedule is the 22nd in the league, and they have a 70% chance of making the playoffs. So you see the difference between the Dolphins and the Colts, even though they have the same record. The Colts have a 25% higher likelihood of making the playoffs just because their schedule is easier. When we look at their teams that they play for the remainder of the season, they have Pittsburgh, the Raiders, Jags, and Texans. Texans can stay in a game, but they're kind of outgunned. Jaguars are just horrible. The Raiders, we're going to talk about them because they're right below the Colts. They're a game behind. So, we've heard the Raiders back-to-back with the Dolphins and the Colts. So, the Raiders kind of hold their own destiny in their hands. The Pittsburgh one's going to be a great game. You know what I mean? I feel like they have a defense to really stop or slow down Pittsburgh's offense. It's going to be a matter of, can Phil Rivers put some points up on the board. So that should definitely be an interesting one. And then when we get into the hunt, there's 3 teams that are in the hunt. 2 of them are, really, really close. The third one has an outside chance, but still a chance. So right now, the first team out of the playoffs right now is the Las Vegas Raiders. I almost called them the Oakland Raiders earlier. They have the 21st strength of schedule with a 46% chance. So even though they're a game behind Miami, they have a 2% higher likelihood of making the playoffs from here on out. We look at the remaining schedule, which is Colts, Miami, Chargers, and Broncos. I don't know what's going on with the Chargers. They've kind of fallen off a cliff. They got just annihilated by the Pats today. The Broncos are playing right now as I'm talking against KC. That's definitely a winnable game for Oakland. But the two big ones, the two teams in front of them, Colts and Miami, if they want it, they got to take out those teams. Those have to be 2 wins, no doubt about it. So it's definitely going to be, game of the week type status right there with those two games. Then we go with the Baltimore Ravens right now are ninth. They are 6-5. They play on Tuesday this week. But the thing is, how Miami has the hardest strength of schedule, Baltimore has the easiest strength of schedule from here on out. They have a 55% chance of making the playoffs, even though they are, 2 wins behind Miami and Colts, and they're a game behind the Raiders. They have a better likelihood of making the playoffs than Miami and the Raiders. The remaining schedule, the hardest team they have is the Browns. Then they have Jags, Cowboys, Bengals, and Giants. They're probably going to need, I don't think they need to win out, but it's going to have to be pretty close. The tricky part is, can they beat the Cowboys on Tuesday with no Lamar Jackson? I'd imagine they could, they should, but they've just been decimated this year with injuries. Lamar hasn't taken the step that people hoped, but they do have the easiest, strength of schedule from here on out, so it's going to be interesting to see what Baltimore does. And then the last team is a team that pretty much everybody wrote off a few weeks ago, and they just keep hanging around in classic fashion, which is the New England Patriots. They're right in the middle with a 15th strength of schedule. They have a 16% chance of making the playoffs, but you're saying there's a chance. They have Bills, Miami, Rams, and Jets. Jets should be an easy win. Rams could, play spoiler for them, but Miami's a big one because Miami's one of the teams in front of them. Bills are leading that division right now, so those are two big ones right there. They're 100% going to need to win out. If they win out, it still might not be enough, but at least, puts them that chance. That's why they have a 16% chance. But from, if I had to make a prediction right now today, I think Browns are in. I think they take that highest wild card spot. I don't think they take the North. I think Colts end up sliding up to the 6th spot, and I don't know about between Dolphins, Raiders, and Ravens. I don't know who gets that last seed, and that's really going to be interesting. If I had to put money down right now, I think the Ravens come back. I do think the Ravens come back. I think they have the most talent as far as those teams. I think they find a way to sneak in, and they could play spoiler, man. They came in last year in the playoffs and was top dogs, and they got knocked off. And now they're going to come in this year potentially as, low man on the totem pole. Let's see what they do. If you guys like the episode, click like and subscribe. Please show some love, show support for the show, and drop a comment on what your predictions are.